So this week I thought I'd give you a series of exercises to work on, and the goal is to be able to put your hand anywhere on the neck and be able to choose a key and instantly play in that key with your hand in that position on the neck. That's the goal. Now, over the previous few weeks I've given you a whole series of videos covering 3 notes per string scale shapes, cage scale shapes, how to build these scales from root notes, the underlying structures that you find in them. So if you like, those videos cover the theory. This week we're going to work on real practical exercises that you can use to build this skill out. So to support this video, on my tools channel I've put a series of 4 videos on there, which you can use as training videos to help you with all of these exercises. And all those videos are just each of the 12 chromatic notes are randomized and just played one after another, or just presented one after another as flashcards in each of those 4 videos. And the only difference between the 4 videos is one gives you a new note every 4 seconds, another one is every 3, then every 2, and then every 1 second. Again, you don't have to use them. When I did this originally, I used a set of flashcards, and the other approach I had was to just write random notes on a piece of paper and use that as a guide to do this. There's plenty of ways of doing this, but you probably find the videos are really quite convenient as well. So there's a series of stages that will take you right from the basics up to some really quite advanced stuff. So let's work through those. Okay, stage 1 then. So all we're going to focus on in stage 1 is just learning the neck, the first 12 frets of the neck. And this is a subject that I've covered in previous videos. I think in the other video I used flashcards. But this time we're just going to use one of the videos that I put online. And what will happen is you start the video going, just choose the slowest video, and you'll see a note name, and let's say it's E. And so what I want you to do is find all of the E's that occur between the 1st fret and the 12th fret. And you'll find that the whole chromatic scale is available once and only once on every string between the 1st fret and the 12th fret. So you can find every one of the notes on every one of the strings. So if it was an E, for example, you'd play the E on the 12th fret there, E, E, and then look at the video again and look for the next note name. Let's say it's an A, and so this time you play all the A's. Now you would probably struggle to keep up with even the slowest video, and that's not the point. Really all you need to do is to use the video to just give you material for the next note name when you're ready for it. Don't try and keep up with the video unless you really want to challenge yourself. But that's the first exercise. Okay, for stage 2, what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on a region. So just pick a part of the neck that you want to work with. Let's say it's around the 5th fret, from the 5th fret upwards, that kind of area. And again, you start the video and you do a similar kind of thing, but all you're doing is you're looking for those notes within the region that you've selected. So before I said let's look for an E, well, there's an E there and there's an E just there. And so all you're doing is just looking for the notes that occur within that region. And an A, well, A, C. So just let the video run and see if you can find all of the notes. And you'll find that you'll be able to do this a little bit more quickly than you could the first exercise. But as I say, just stay in that region, see if you can work within that area of the neck and just find all the notes that you see as they appear in the video. Okay, moving on to stage 3 then. What we're going to do is we're going to look for chords. Now the chords I like to use are the caged chords. So that's the bar C chord, the bar A chord, the bar G chord, the bar E chord, and the bar D chord. And just like before, we start the video running, And what I want you to do is to see if you can find the closest chord within the region that you're working with to the note that you see on the screen. So again, if you see an E, there's an E chord which is based on the bar C chord just there, or you could have played the bar A chord just there. And if it's an A, well, you play the A there. If it's E flat, play E flat there. If it's F sharp, you can play the F sharp there. So all you're going to do is, just like before, you're following the notes on the screen, but this time try and find the chords based using that as the root note. And once you can find all of the major chords, see if you can do the same with the minor chords. And again, really what I'm trying to do is to recognize regions of the neck. So for example, I'd be using like the C minor chord, which is not a chord I'd normally, kind of the bar C minor chord, if you see what I mean. So if the chord was an F minor, for example, I'd play that chord. But really, all you're trying to do is to find the regions, find out where you play those chords to start to map out the neck and be able to just recall them like that. Okay, moving on to stage 4 then. Stage 4 is all about finding the pentatonic positions given the root notes as you see them appearing on the screen. So all I want you to do is to look at the note name and see if you can play the pentatonic. So again, if I saw an E, I'd play the major pentatonic for the E major, and just see if you can play as much of that as you can while the note name is on the screen. And let's say the next note name is A. You play the A pentatonic. And just see if you can keep that going for the full 20 minutes. See if you can find all of the pentatonic positions with minimal movement where your hand stays in that same position on the neck. And once you've gone through the video with the major pentatonics, try it with the minor pentatonics instead. So when you see an E, you'd play an E minor pentatonic, which is this one. And when you see an A, you play the A minor. Now, the other thing to be mindful of, it's very easy when you're doing this particular exercise to see the root note, be fixated on the root note, and start playing the scale from that root note. And I wanted to see if you can try and break out of that, what I call the tyranny of the root note. Because you really want to start to be able to visualize these shapes in their entirety on the neck, not just building from that root note. So as you saw me doing then, I started all of the scales from the top E string and worked my way down, irrespective of whether that first note was a root note or not. But that's kind of how I want you to approach this. Okay, moving on to stage 5 then. What we're going to do is stage 5 is very similar to stage 4, but this time we're going to focus on the full major scale, not just the pentatonic scale. So again, when I see note names, I'm thinking, okay, that's the major key that I need to play in. So again, if I see the note E, I see if I can play the E major scale in the position that I'm working in. Like that, and then I look for A, and again, see if I can play the A major scale. And again, I just leave the video running and see how long, see if I can make my way all the way through the video, and just see how much of the scale I can play. And then I'll move on to the minor scales and do exactly the same thing. But just like before, yes, you can start by working from the root note if it makes things easier for you, but really your goal is to try and break away from every time there's a key change, you have to find the root note and you play the root note and then you build a scale from there. Really what you want to do is to be able to visualize the scale in its entirety and just start the scale from, say, the top E or from any of the other notes of the scale. So you're not always starting, when you see a new key, you start the new key by playing that note as a root note and then building out from there. need to try and move away from that. Now, beyond this, there's no reason why you can't keep building out and creating your own exercises using this approach as well. One useful thing that you can do once you get really quite good at this is to start thinking about these as key centers, and instead of just playing the scale, see if you can imply a 5-1 progression in that key center, and then a 2-5-1, and then a 6-2-5-1. And again, you can take this as far as you want to. But hopefully that was useful for you. Hopefully that will help you to develop your own skills. Give it a go and see how you get on. Goodbye.